Blue Lock Chapter 318 has just released. We got the halftime talk with Nigeria realizing they're cooked and Blue Lock celebrating their early lead. New strategies coming out for both sides as Nigeria tries to make their comeback and Blue Lock wants to experiment while securing the win. This chapter opened up a whole lot of possibilities for the rest of the Nigeria versus Japan game. There's a lot to talk about, so let's jump into it quick. The chapter picks up with the commentators screaming in hype on Blue Lock's strength in both attack and defense, which is real as hell. Nigeria got completely shut out. We see Gagamaru use Unlimited Void as his celebration for the block, and the embarrassing 2-0 lead for them. Like, this is not a good look for Nigeria. The first half ends and we jump over to the locker room where the boys are celebrating their lead. We see Corona, Nanase, and Raichi all hyped. This puts a smile on my face seeing the other characters. Corona says great plays out there, Nanase jumping for joy at Gagamaru's save, and Raichi turns into the Kool-Aid man for some reason. We see Fukakugen and Gagamaru hit the dap up of the century, and I gotta be honest, I think this is the first time we've seen Fukakugen say something. All of us know how big of a fraud he is already, I don't need to say more, but his dialogue is usually him responding to someone, not doing the one talking. This is actually a monumental moment. Fukakugen saying something. Aiku is here too and immediately starts giving advice to Nico and Ryu on how they're doing well but pushing too far up. They should pay closer attention to the defensive line coming into the second half. He really showing why he's captain, already working on what to fix for the next half. Nico says got it, but they can't hold back in ball disputes, and Ryu says same, I won't go easy in one-on-ones. So basically, we can expect more simple domains coming from him. Karasu jumps into the conversation and says we honestly should have scored another goal, which is true, but unfortunately for them, there was a 35-minute time skip in the match, so plot decided otherwise. If not, they would be up by 8-0. However, he calls out Shigiri and Hiyori specifically, saying they're focusing too much on crosses and that they should try to take more shots on the goal. In other words, Karasu saying, you ain't no egoist. Shigiri all smiley tells him to shut it and just wait for the second half, which I gotta be honest, I'm smelling a Shigiri goal. I feel they put him on the opposite side of his 44 Panther snipe for a reason. We also haven't gotten a flashback to his training, although it was pretty straightforward for stamina. And then Hiyori says, yeah, Karasu, take more shots yourself. And this is just too funny to me. Like, he pulled the Uno reverse rage bait on him and it got Karasu pressed, because we see him angry in the next panel. We then get some Henri dialogue for the first time in a while, I feel, basically saying they're all prideful, even though we haven't set the second half strategy yet. Henri flashes a smile and says the boys are growing at an insane pace, which is true. I honestly feel like the boys post-NEL are super strong compared to teams like Nigeria, where at this point only Onazi is keeping up with them. She says we have to clear the group stage and declares that they will win as we see her all happy on a Blue Lock success so far. We then get our GOAT talking for the first time this chapter, and right off the bat, he's saying there's no point in winning if we play like this. Isagi explains that if they keep doing the same old thing, they won't grow, so that's why we're going to try something new in the second half. Let me break it down for y'all. Isagi is pretty much commanding the team, saying that we're trying something new, no objections. That number one got him feeling different, and he giving that PXG Rin treatment, nah, this win is too easy, let's start experimenting. This is just completely disrespectful on Nigeria's part, because what do you mean you're using them as testing guinea pigs? Karasu and Abachira are confused, asking what he has in mind, and he says we'll play a false 9 pushing in with the second and third lines. If it works, they'll have more options to attack. Maybe this even means potential substitutions. I mean, if there is a perfect time for them to sub, it would be now, so maybe we see some new players. Yet again, level-headed Aiku brings up how it sounds interesting, but what about the risk that they will take? Shouldn't they hold the score till the end, with that being a valuable experience too? But Isagi just says, let's just do both then, try new things, and make sure we secure the win. Which is just like the Isagi Yoichi we know. Making it work no matter the options, that's our mastermind. We then get the smartest talk in Blue Lock as Aiku, Nico, Karasu, and Isagi, the Metavision boys, start discussing about the game plan. Aiku just says that's the spirit, egoist, with Nico saying it's easier said than done. If they try new attack ideas, that means they'll have to adjust the defense too. So Isagi says, okay, we'll just fix that too and talk to Ego. And Karasu just reacts saying, are you sure we can really change everything all of a sudden? Isagi's whole mentality is, don't worry about it, I'll fix it. I'm wondering if the defense adjustment would be a substitution too. I've been saying Raichi would be perfect for marking Onazi and would also be hype seeing new players and maybe their trainings. In the corner though, we see someone say I'm in, and it's none other than my king Itoshi Rin, saying just winning isn't enough for him. And yeah, bro, we already got the memo in PXG when you gave up a free goal. He continues that he'll crush them in a new way and that he hasn't even scored yet. Time to stop pretending to be a nice guy. I'm not gonna lie, Rin is my favorite character, but some of the stuff he says comes off as the most corny lines in existence. Like, if anyone else but Itoshi Rin said this, it's something you would make fun of. Even then, it's like a no more Mr. Nice Guy dialogue. I can't keep defending you like this. Isagi is glad Rin's on the same wavelength though, and Aiku says, well, the two egoistic stars, as we finally jump over to the Nigeria locker room, which is what I'm interested in. What the hell are they going to do to come back? You can see all of them exhausted down in the slums and just completely demotivated as Bello straight up says we can't beat them. Now, normally I would say, where is your motivation at, Bello? But at the same time, with a first half performance like that, I would start thinking realistically too, we can't beat them. Aboabona says, we keep it up like this, we'll lose. And a random Nigeria player asks, what should we do in the second half, coach? As the Nigeria coach is finally revealed and he low-key got the clean fit on, coach says isn't BLUELOCK impressive and that they can set up plays all over the field and still score goals. And then he just says, truly impressive, Isagi Yoichi. Like, where did this dialogue even come from? They really treating Isagi like he's Heisenberg, the Thanos of the football world? Kuso must have gave a word to coach because this level of glazing is only rivaled by him. Imagine seeing a double Bachara formation and the only dialogue you have is truly impressive, Isagi Yoichi. Like I said though, I can't say much because I've glazed Isagi like this before too. He then looks up and says we haven't been able to play at all so far, and that Onazi hasn't been able to play. So even the coach is relying on Onazi. And what is bro even helping us out with? Tell us some strategies, what we should improve on. Not telling us what we already know. Talking about some they can set up plays everywhere, Isagi is the single best thing to touch football, and we haven't been able to do anything. We already knew that. Onazi with a towel on his head says that this has never happened before. Bad news. As Kuso takes off his glasses in despair, Bello and Aboabona stare at him with concerned looks on their faces, and he says this is it, a World Cup, as it's safe to assume Nigeria has accepted their loss. But Onazi smiles wide and says BLUELOCK is a beast, shocking Bello and Aboabona as they can't believe he's smiling in a dire situation like this. He says in the second half, that guy will be there, Isagi Yoichi will be there. Okay, everyone just took the Isagi Yoichi pill at this point, and Kuso is surprised again. We get a breakdown from Onazi though, asking everyone why do they think Japan is so strong, with Bello saying they can attack in many ways, and Aboabona saying they're all going for goals. Onazi agrees and says every single one of them lives for the goal. But before we get any more of Nigeria's strategy, we hop back over to Japan's locker room, and the real coach is giving a speech now. Ego asks the players why do they think people say I want to win, and for the Barou, Kunigami, and I guess Sendo fans, we get an appearance from them as well. Bachara responds to Ego saying because winning feels good, and Ego asks why does it feel good? So Isagi says because that way you prove your superiority to others. Shido even appears and agrees with Isagi, and Ego talks about how the instinct is carved into their genes. They have to show their superiority in order to survive in both food ways and I guess reproductive ways too. They even gave a whole description to this, which I find pretty funny, but Ego continues that BLUELOCK exists precisely to draw out the survival instinct and create the strongest individuals in the world. So after his biology and philosophy lesson, we go back over to the Nigeria locker room, and Onazi declares that he wants to be BLUELOCK. and suggests that they try playing like them, each of them going after the goal. Bello says they can't score like Onazi though, and he jumps up saying that doesn't matter, let's give it a try. You can just see the passion because bro got his arms out and everything proclaiming this. He asks if it's okay with the coach, and he says if you're the one saying it, Onazi, then let's take the challenge head on and crush them. And can I just say, this coach is the biggest fraud. All he did was stare at his damn tablet and let Onazi do all the work. I can do his job. You can do his job. This guy is not a coach. We're gonna have to put him in the Hall of Fame of BLUELOCK frauds, up there with Wakatsuki, Fukakugen, and Tokimitsu, because Onazi is the forward, the defender, the coach, the team motivator, at this point the captain, because Kuso has proved nothing. And I'ma be honest, we're copying a strategy we've never done before against a team whose whole life has been training that way. We're not going to be able to go more offensively than a team that's built on offense. Before the halftime ends though, we pick back up with Ego explaining that if all humans were guided by only their instincts of wanting to win, then conflicts would arise and wars would never end. So to prevent that, humanity created laws so everyone is treated equally, which led to people being able to live without that instinct, which humanity calls peace. To put it into simpler terms, if people are not competitive, they'll just stagnate and stay in the same place, which is peaceful, but in BLUELOCK, they want to become the best. So that's why Ego kept appealing to that competitive instinct, so that their burning desire doesn't get swallowed, including himself. The second half is about to start though, and we see a newly motivated Nigeria walk out with Onazi leading the charge. I gotta say, even if they lose, Onazi has really proved himself as a D1 aura farmer. He kind of just got a Mickey Mouse team. We see Isagi walking out as well, as Ego says BLUELOCK was built to rip away those who got too comfortable. And I gotta say, I think he's talking about Nagi here. And to reveal their instincts, even adding that he'll grant them a new formula. Ego asks, do you know why football has such a power to captivate people? As we see Isagi and the kickoff start, as the chapter ends off on a cliffhanger for the second half. So both team strategies are being revealed, BLUELOCK trying to experiment with new formations, and Nigeria trying out the BLUELOCK strategy of going for their own goals. They haven't revealed the full BLUELOCK formation in this chapter for a reason, so I do think they're hiding a substitution for the next chapter, hopefully, because that would be so hyped to see some new subs. I'm not sure how well this plan is gonna be for Nigeria specifically. BLUELOCK is known for this strategy, so beating them at their own game pretty much is gonna be really difficult. But again, doing any strategy is probably better than the first half strategy, so I think they can work this out with everyone going for their own goals. I want to predict that Kuso would be the first one to awaken, since everyone is still aware of Onazi on BLUELOCK's side, and they're not prepared for someone like Kuso to step up to the plate, going for a goal, and that way he can also redeem himself as a captain. However, chapter 318 is titled The Frenzy Formula, which is obviously talking about BLUELOCK's strategy, so maybe they crush Nigeria even more. I'm excited for the second half to begin. We're gonna see a whole new game pretty much, BLUELOCK trying new things and Nigeria switching it up too. My last minute sub predictions, I do think Raichi might take to the pitch. I think they'll be saving players like Barou, Kunigami, and Shido for dire situations or other games. Raichi just makes sense since he can block Onazi and mark him. Honestly, we don't really need subs because this strategy is working so far, this formation, and Isagi's new strategy can work well with the formation we already have. I just think it would be hype to see some new players. Apparently, we might be on a break week for next week, so no new chapter, so make sure to subscribe to stay up to date with everything BLUELOCK related, and leave any thoughts you have on this chapter below. That about wraps it up for this video though, so if you made it to the end, thank you so much for watching. YouTube really thinks you'd like this video right here, so be sure to check that one out too. I love y'all so much, and I'll see y'all in the next one.